Uh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Madam Co-Chairman. Today, I would like to actually share with you on the literary ecosystem in Singapore, and actually moving forward, what can we, as ASEAN, perhaps work together to forge a better presentation of our literature to the world. So that will be my theme for the talk today. What I mean by ecosystem basically is to look into things which actually can support a writer to be more effective and known to the world. And we are talking about partners like publishers, distributors, literary agents, literary critics, academics, organizations and government agencies, even private organizations, libraries and schools, and perhaps look into the literary awards that we have to see whether it would be sufficient to promote ASEAN literature to the world. So that would be the theme of my work today. Maybe just a start, a little bit of introduction of Singapore. Singapore is an island country. Area is very small. It's about only 722 kilometers square. So it's a very, very small country with a current population of about 5 million, and we're aiming to go to about maybe 7 million by 2020. There are 4 official languages in this small country: English, Chinese, Tamil, and Malay. These 4 official languages have representatives in the literary circle, so to speak. So when we talk about Singapore, we don't only talk about a single language, but 4 official languages which are represented in the literary works. And we have 1 national library with 26 satellite or district libraries, and 1 national archive to actually be the depository of all our important historical works. We also have a government agency called the National Arts Council, which actually gives support in terms of funding, also promotion of literary works. I will talk about it later. And we also have agencies like the National Book Development Council, which also move along promoting books and so on. So I will go one by one on the issue, on the various partners that support the writer. We know very well that great literary works is not produced by organization, but by actually the writer themselves, right? I mean, that is a fact. I mean, you can have all the support in the world, but if there's no great literary work to support in the first place, we should not be, I mean, we don't have to talk about the issue at hand. But nonetheless, a great writer normally thrives in a very positive ecosystem. When I talk about ecosystem, it's actually those array of partners and agencies which I'll be dealing one by one right now. So publishers. We have a very active publication atmosphere in Singapore. For the English works, for example, we have publishers like Epigram, which actually started publishing works in London. They opened an office in London to promote Singapore literature. And we have Ethos, actually, which deal mainly on poetry, although they also publish novels, etc. We have Math Paper Press, which actually focus on both short fiction and poetry. And we have a newly formed group called Guitar Publisher, which actually publish Singapore works and promote them in the South Asia region, India, Pakistan, etc., etc. So there's a new window open to Singapore writers. And literary agents also is something new to Singapore, but we have literary agents like Jacaranda, which has managed to get some works in Singapore being published in India and then promoted into a Bollywood movie. Rights has been bought over for one of our writers who actually to get her work done, converted into film, and that is actually a success for Singapore. And most important, I think, for serious writers, we need actually a good circle of literary critics, either working individually or as part of an academic institution. And we are quite fortunate to actually have our works reviewed by professors as far as Australia or in Malaysia or Indonesia. And this actually is a form of recognition of the fact that literature done by Singapore writers has reached a certain standard of appreciation and acclaim, such that international critics are more than willing to review and give good positive rave reviews of their works. I'll move on to organizations. And let's talk about first the government agency. In this case, for Singapore literature, we have the National Arts Council, which actually gives grants for publication, for translation, and even for promotion of works, not only in Singapore but beyond. I've been to Frankfurt, London, Cape Town, even Edinburgh, on the support of the National Arts Council. Is a totally funded program, promotion by the National Arts Council to promote literary works of Singapore writers to the world. And we have also the National Book Development Council, which actually gives book awards similar to the book awards can't remember one of the writers just now mentioned about this Book Development Council, which give awards to publication of books, either in design or in terms of its literary merit too. I think it's from the Philippines, right? If I'm mistaken there. And in addition to that, we have private groups like the Select Center, which focuses on the translation of works by Singapore writers to other languages besides Chinese or Tamil, etc., etc. And we have the Arts House also, which is very actively promoting Singapore literature by having activities which are centered around literary activities and the other arts. Collaboration between the other arts and literary activities are mostly done under the umbrella of the Arts Council. Okay. And of course the libraries. I mentioned that we have one major library, the National Library, but under this umbrella of the National Library, there are 26 regional libraries which actually are located in the housing estates. And access to the libraries is not an issue in Singapore. Now the National Library has gone digital. We can borrow books digitally even. So it's and we are quite I think. And the National Library also actually organizes activities like Read Singapore, which happens annually, which encourages Singaporeans to read basically. And we invite writers from Southeast Asia for this event. This coming year, we have a writer from Malaysia to actually share a writing experience with the readers in Singapore. I move on to awards, which are actually part and parcel of the literary life of writers in Singapore. We have the Golden Point Award, which is organized every 2 years to actually acknowledge the quality of works by newcomers in the literary world. So old-timers like me, we cannot participate in the Golden Point Award, but these are for new writers, and the awards given to them, and it's quite substantial, $10,000 for the Golden Point Award. But of course, this $10,000 is not just monetary. Part of it actually comes in the form of them attending courses, etc. But it's worth $10,000 a year for young writers to be acknowledged as good writers and for them to develop further in their writing skill. And we have the Singapore Literature Prize, which also happens every 2 years to acknowledge the quality of works done by the 4 major languages in all genres, fiction, poetry, basically. So this is given every 2 years to Singapore writers as an encouragement and acknowledgement of the fact that the government supports the literary activities and development in Singapore. Okay, and of course, I mentioned just now there's this National Book Development and National Book Development Council Book Award, which gives award to not only literary works but other works too, non-literary works, academic books, etc., etc. I mentioned to you about each group having its own literary tradition. For example, in the Malay literary scene, every 2 years we have the Anugerah Kesuratan, which actually also acknowledge the achievement of Malay writers. And I'm sure in the Chinese and the Indian and English sectors, they also have the same. And to top all the awards in Singapore, we have what we call the Cultural Medallion, which actually acknowledges the highest achievement in the arts in Singapore. And this is not only limited to literary to writers, but also to other artists. I mean, for example, I won it in 2007 after I won the Searai Award. But what I mean to say is that we have such a high